I'm allowed, when the groove is so good, I'm allowed to talk over the voice. I made a new rule on the show. Okay, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Oh, that's 50, right? That's 50 Cent? That's what we're talking about here? This is a good one. We should just play this every single time. That's right. Crank that up, Jimmy G. 10:52 here on the Elias Macko Show. Let's talk about Montreal's East End. 2 malls in the East End will be transformed into a new $3.5 billion neighborhood. That's like 3.5 Olympic stadiums, for crying out loud. With 7,000 housing units, commercial spaces, green areas. It's a 15-year project by Group Mock. It includes 1,300 social housing units, a new elementary school, a cultural center, a public square, and it's connected to a future metro station. Now, it's also being talked about as a really green project and creating a green city. Excuse me. They'll aim to reduce car dependence with pedestrian paths and bike lanes and green infrastructure. Let's talk a little bit more about this one. Luciano D'iorio is regional president and associate director at CDNGlobal, a real estate advising and brokerage firm. He's on the line. Luciano, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Elias. Sticking to your theme of music, it reminds me of a song by Joni Mitchell, Big Yellow Taxi, where she says, hey, paved paradise to put up a parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering now what we would say about this project, because it's actually the opposite.
This is the revenge. This is the revenge.
This is the revenge, exactly. Joni would be happy. So I would say to you that there's 2 large malls, for your listeners, south of the 40, east of L'Angelier, towards Galerie d'Anjou, so really at the cusp of St. Leonard, Anjou, and Mercier-Hochelaga Maisonneuve. But this property, actually, the Carrefour L'Angelier, sits in St. Leonard. It's currently a shopping mall. You've got Walmart as one of the anchor tenants and Jean Coutu as another anchor tenant there. And there's going to be the Blue Line metro station, which for now they're calling it the L'Angelier Blue Line metro station, which is going to come up in 2031. So phase 1 of this project is going to see housing of about 1,000 units, and then another, and then 250 community and social housing right above the metro station. Now, why is this important? Because this is going to be in conjunction with the STM. So, of course, Montrealers know the STM as providing metro and bus service, but the STM is looking for ways of financing themselves with non-fare revenue. So, of course, if you think of the convenience stores in the metro stations, that allows them to, generate money that's coming from, other sources besides fares. And this is an opportunity for the STM, and their company called Transgesco is going to be working with Group MAC to basically build parts of this project. Now, this project is going to be in 7 phases, and as you said, over 15 years.
And it seems like a generational project, right? Just based on the time and the scope here. Can I ask you about, obviously STM is involved here, and there's a focus on reducing car dependence. What do the people that are buying places want now? Like, how important is it to have parking spots, whether it's on the street or below the condos, underground parking? How do you view that aspect of this project, Luciano?
I would say that in this particular neighborhood, you have a lot of retail services, and they're talking about putting an elementary school there, also a cultural center. So really, if you'd live in this project, on this project, you most likely won't need a car unless you want to, go away on the weekend and, go up north like most Montrealers do, or in the eastern townships. Then you'll have to, rent a car or find a way to get there. But really, your day-to-day living, you'll barely need a car because you'll be accessible to, the downtown core through the metro, through the Blue Line. Mm-hmm. Your shopping is, I'm going to assume that everyday needs are going to be taken care of by the retailers in and around that neighborhood.
So let me ask you about getting a project of this scope done. It certainly seems that in this city, there's been roadblock after roadblock when it comes to big major projects. What do you think's different here? Has it been the attitude of the cities changing, or was this just a project too good to pass up on? How do you think this has gotten such a go-ahead here?
Yeah, and I think that we've talked about this before in some of the roadblocks that we've been seeing over the last few years in terms of permitting. And really, there's a housing crisis. There continues to be one, and I think the city wants to see centers like this really get densification and develop. I mean, really, if you look at it from a Google map perspective, you'll see that there's a lot of parking, and cities typically today don't like all of that parking. And so a lot of the parking for this project is going to end up underground, and they're going to go and find the density. So I think that elected officials are looking at it and saying, we need to solve this crisis. And if there are projects where developers are willing to put their own money, because this is private money, let's call it what it is, let us help them get to their goal. But it's an ambitious project.
Let me ask you just on the type of units being built here. Is it just like strictly condos, apartments? Will there be some sort of, townhouses, that kind of thing? Do you know about that?
No, I don't, because the developer hasn't really fully explained, kind of what kind of units in total. But they did say that there's going to be a portion of it for social and community housing, and the first phase is going to be more geared towards students. So, which is interesting.
Gotcha. Okay, and before I let you go, Luciano, just do you have a thought or two on the residential construction strike that's happening right now? How is that affecting things?
Well, I would say that, July is an important month in Quebec. July 1st, most Canadians celebrate Canada Day. Here we celebrate Moving Day. Mm-hmm. And so if you are waiting for your house to be delivered and it's affected by the strike, certainly it's going to be a cascade. It's going to affect, if you're assuming that you're renting a property today, you technically would have to move out because your lease is up. And so then, you may be on the streets. So if I was someone in the hotel business or the Airbnb business, I would certainly have my eyes and ears open for July 1st, because there might be you might see an influx of people just not having a roof, until this strike gets settled. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, we're certainly in the middle of a housing crisis, and adding this to the mix is not ideal.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Luciano, got to leave it there. Always a pleasure talking. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
That's Luciano D'iorio, Regional President, Associate Director over at CDNGlobal. When we return on the Elias Macko Show, our series with the Quebec Liberal Leadership hopefuls continues. Now, you've heard from Charles Milliard. You've heard from Pablo Rodriguez over the last couple of days. Coming up next, Marc Bélanger with his bold ideas about the economy. He joins us next.